In a story you'll only see first on News 4, the U.S. Supreme Court will decide if it will hear the case of a St. Louis man. Christopher Dunn has spent more than 3 decades in a Missouri prison for a crime he says he did not commit. Now his lawyer is asking the country's highest court to weigh in after the Missouri Supreme Court refused to. Chris Dunn's wife speaking exclusively to News 4's Dionne Broxton.
The Supreme Court is potentially the last chance.
Chris Dunn's lawyer recently filed a petition asking the U.S. Supreme Court to hear his client's case. Dunn was convicted in a deadly shooting from 1990. A Missouri judge admitted Dunn meets the threshold for innocence, but there's an issue.
You mean to tell me because I'm not on death row, I don't meet the requirements to regain my liberty back that you wrongfully took from me?
Missouri recently enacted a law giving prosecutors an avenue to file to free innocent prisoners who exhaust their appeals. A Missouri Supreme Court ruling in 2016 set the precedent of claims of innocence to only death row inmates. That's how Kevin Strickland was freed last year.
It took 43 years to get here. And when they knew from day one that I wasn't the person that committed that crime, they knew.
But it's also the reason why the Missouri Supreme Court refuses to take up Dunn's case, because he isn't a death row inmate.
Filing into the Supreme Court asks the right questions. It asks about the constitutionality of keeping people who have evidence that exonerate them, whether or not it's a violation of the 8th Amendment or cruel and unusual punishment to keep them incarcerated.
Pre-filed Missouri legislation called the Freestanding Bill hopes to right what some see as a wrong this coming legislative session.
That is the intent of the legislation, is to be able to apply to all, everybody who is under the Department of Corrections.
St. Louis University professor Kenya Brumfield Young says if the U.S. Supreme Court rules in Dunn's favor, the ruling could be the gateway to help others in similar situations.
Any system in the world, any industry, any organization, when they realize if there's a flaw, they fix it.
The Circuit Attorney's Office told News 4 it's aware of the petition and is currently looking into Chris Dunn's case. There's no timetable on when the U.S. Supreme Court will decide to take on or decline this case. In downtown St. Louis, Dionne Broxton, News 4.